Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
Does there need to be a czar of common sense that walks around the sidelines?
And Brandon Schultz.
Can't we just keep doing Mission Impossible movies? That's what Tom Cruise is really good at.
Go Hawks!
This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers. Joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Hey, man. I think this is going to be an interesting pod because I've been crazy busy, barely had a chance to even sit and reflect upon what happened in Dallas for the most part.
Yeah.
And you're furloughed and you're going stir crazy, and that's all you've had is time to think about all that. I think we might be in two totally different headspaces at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's kind of wild,
this will be
isn't
fun.
it?
I'm still lamenting the start of the second half. I have a feeling like maybe you've moved on.
Oh, I've worked through it. I've come to all the rationalizations. I've watched the Pete Carroll press conference after the game. I'm very beyond digesting this entire game. I had the chance to talk to Anthony about it earlier this week, and you know what? We can do that. I can help you now work through this, Adam, and maybe help some of the other Seahawks fans work through this too. Maybe there's some benefit to me being furloughed that I can provide benefits in other way to the public other than through the forest.
Look at you. You're a man of the people.
That's all I am.
Thanks for all you do, hero Brandon Schultz.
Not all heroes wear capes, man. Some of us use chainsaws. Some of us,
But you could wear a cape. I think I might buy you a cape just so you have one.
I'd wear it.
Yeah. Maybe with a big 12 on the back.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I think we're still fans of the Seahawks, even after this end of the season to the Cowboys, this loss to that team that for no reason.
I don't know. A 24-22 loss in a wild card game where neither of us really saw our team going to the Super Bowl anyway. Is that enough to turn in your fan card and start rooting for a different team from here on out?
I'm sure there's some, right?
Pete Carroll's still going to be the coach. Brian Schottenheimer's still going to be the offensive coordinator. There might be some people who can't handle that going forward.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess after thinking about it a little bit, I kind of had the realization that the shoddy both giveth and the shoddy taketh away.
Right.
And you got to kind of live with the both of them,
We'll get into the game some more. Let's start off with a little bit of news. Russell Wilson, Pro Bowl quarterback. I don't know why it took an Aaron Rodgers injury to make that happen, since he was the better quarterback this season. But I guess Russell Wilson will take it. And fans, we don't have to care, but we can be happy for Russell that he gets recognition.
Absolutely. More than deserved. And like you said, it's a joke show that Aaron Rodgers was ahead of him in the popularity contest anyways. But that's fine. I mean, maybe Aaron was put in ahead of Russell Wilson because he's taller.
Yeah. I don't know what their voting criteria are. I just know that Russell Wilson deserved to be in this year, and now he's in.
Yeah, considering that Aaron Rodgers couldn't even win his dreadful division, got his coach fired.
Couldn't even have a winning record.
Yeah, what a joke. I guess they did win one on the road when it was all said and done. At one point, they hadn't won one all year.
They did win. Did they play the Jets in New York?
I don't know. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, and so he finally got one. Good hooray for him.
You're gonna quiz me on Packers road wins on a Seahawks show. Come on, dude.
I'm trying to trash Aaron Rodgers to build Russell Wilson up here. Yeah. So there's a means to the end.
Well, Adam, this was, as Pete Carroll said, a season of growth. And if it really is a season of growth, isn't it better to lose sooner than later? That way, the players know you have a larger gap to bridge. Rather than thinking that you were so close. If this team would have gone on to beat the Rams, that would have felt good. And then gone on to play the Saints and then lose in New Orleans with the chance to go to the Super Bowl. I think that when we look at this team, we recognize there is a larger gap. And so going out earlier to me will give them more of an incentive in the offseason.
God, you've had too much time off. That is some twisted ass logic right there. No, that would not be better. It would have been much better to go and beat the tar out of the stupid Rams and put them back in their place so that maybe I could have redeemed my half of the bet anyways with the Rams guys. That would have been helpful.
Well, this is all about you now. And then to go to New
Orleans and be just one step away from the Super Bowl and to have come short there, I don't know that you'd be any more motivated than having the Super Bowl right in front of you and not be able to get there. That would have been the more motivating thing. Come on. More wins are better than losses.
Here's another positive takeaway that I look at.
That wasn't a positive takeaway. That was some twisted ass logic.
Okay, so from twisted ass logic to a potentially positive takeaway.
Okay.
This might be the first time that we've seen an opposing team say that Chris Carson will not be the guy to beat us. Usually it's Russell Wilson. When the Seahawks were going to Super Bowls, they had that guy in Marshawn Lynch. We still had Russell Wilson, but everybody was focused on Marshawn. And now it looks like we have another guy that the opposing defense are willing to do everything to say that's the guy that we have to stop.
Well, be ready when next year when you don't see a ton of Carson and you see a ton of Rashad Penny, because you know that's coming.
You know that's coming? You think that's coming?
I know that's coming.
What if they're both good?
Well, then that's amazing.
Okay.
And I'm hopeful for that.
You think that they would push it just because he was a first rounder?
Pete falls in love in and out of love with running backs so fast.
Yeah.
This is something that we know throughout his entire career. It's what have you done for me lately? But it's not even that. It's like, what have you done for me in the last 4.2 milliseconds? And he loves Penny. I'm already seeing the stories. Rashad Penny set for breakout year. Rashad Penny will be the Seahawks' most improved player. Blah, 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 blah. Which is all great. I hope it's true.
He has the potential to be.
I'm rooting for the guy.
You can't improve much from what Chris Carson did this past year. He was top 5 running back in the league. There's very little room for improvement.
Right.
And he's making a quarter of the salary of Rashad Penny.
Where I would like to see some change in the Seahawks this offseason is in some growth. If we're talking about it was a season of growth, is the ability to make halftime adjustments or in-game adjustments. That's the area of growth I would love to see out of this team.
Well, let's talk about this game, because thinking back to Saturday night in the post-game reaction show, one of the things we seemed to settle on was that by the time the Seahawks were up 14-10, some of the previous stuff didn't really, I'm not going to say it didn't matter, but I think as a Seahawks fan, we were content with where the team was up 14-10 late in the third quarter. They had stuffed Dallas down at the 2-yard line. They get the punt. They're on Dallas's side of the field. They hit a big 4th down conversion to Doug Baldwin. That ends up being the only pass as part of a 9-play drive that gets them down to the goal line. Russell Wilson able to run it in for a touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion, and they're up 14-10. Did you feel content at that moment to where you can kind of forgive some of the game planning that led up to that point?
No.
Okay.
Man, you were give everybody a pass.
No, I'm just saying
today.
At 14-10,
it's better that they lost early. It's so good. We got the solace that Chris Carson is the man they want to stop, just like it was Marshawn. And now, since we were up at one point in the game, I can forgive everything that didn't happen that should have happened. How many lollipops are you handing out today?
I'm not. I'm just making the point that up 14-10, from what we'd seen the entire season from the Seahawks, they were in the position that we expected them to be going into the fourth quarter and on the road with an opportunity to win the game.
All true facts. They could have been up 2-3 scores pretty damn easy if they would have just started throwing the ball. And the thing about it is, it's one thing to come on after the game and be like, well, they should have thrown the football.
Yeah.
Because sure, in retrospect, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. There are some of us, and I can pull up the catfish documented proof of it, that even at halftime, even though I had been thinking it and saying it to myself in the second quarter, by halftime, I wrote down, I was like, you need to start throwing the ball on 1st and 2nd down. If I can recognize that and know that that's an adjustment that needs to be made in game, and it's something I threw out there in game, these guys need to be able to do that in game. I've been wondering, does there need to be a czar of common sense that walks around the sidelines? Just like a guy, like somebody like myself, right? These guys can out X and O me every single day. They know more about football in their pinky than I do on my whole body, right? But for whatever reason, somehow they just kind of lose touch with what the hell is going on. And they just need a dude to like look at it and be like, dude, start throwing the ball on first and second down. Then they can figure out exactly what pass plays to run, how to do it, like all that. Because again, they're smarter than me. But like, I feel like they lose touch. I want to be the czar of common sense that walks around the sidelines.
Pete Carroll, he needs the person in his ears for when to challenge and when not to challenge. And then he needs a fan in his ear for just the common sense aspect of game planning, right? Yeah.
And I know like it sounds like both you and I and Seahawks fans everywhere, are hypocritical because we were sitting there at the beginning of the year, run the ball, give it to Chris Carson, run the ball. Well, yes, in that situation, run the ball. The pass stuff wasn't working. The run stuff was working. Use the run stuff. And then when you get to this game, when the run stuff stops working and the pass stuff is working, use the pass stuff. This isn't rocket surgery.
Well, hopefully you aren't blaming Schottenheimer because Pete Carroll had a message for people with the blame Schotty angle.
For somebody to look at this game and say that, somebody didn't do this or do that and try to hold that against him or whatever, I think is really unfair. I mean, hold it against me. I mean, I'm the guy that's in charge of this thing. And there's nowhere to look at any individual guy here, in my opinion. It's a team thing. And but I'm on top of it, and I'm the one to be pointed at. And we couldn't have been more committed to being an aggressive football team than we were this year. And that meant that we're playing great defense and we're working on our teams and we're running the football and we're playing off of that. That's us. That's how we do it. And that's not anybody but starting with me. And so the fact that the Shotty was working the game plan and trying to hammer the football is what we did every week, and that's how we figured to win. And then when it doesn't work, you have to get moving and find the ways that you got to get there to get the game won, and that's what we were attempting to do. You forget maybe that the go-ahead touchdown drive in this game was a 9-play drive. I think 8 plays were runs. And we got the ball at midfield off great field position after a great kick, exactly like we like to do it. Defense held them. Here we go. And we knock it on down there. We fight our way through a 4th down conversion and make it to 14-10, and okay, let's go from there. And so to try to blame Shotty or the play caller or something on anything, that I understand that reaction, but it isn't warranted. We had a hell of a season, and we did a bunch of good stuff, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, okay, cool. Fine. Then it's your fault, Pete. I don't really give a crap, like, who I point at and be like, you didn't adjust soon enough. Mm-hmm. Like, fine. It's Pete's fault then. Like, I don't really care. Just do better at it.
I tried to tell you after the game it was Pete's fault.
Oh, well, fine. Like, again, I don't care. Like, I mean, I just adjust better.
Yeah.
Like, because, you hear him in there say, well, that when it's not working, then you got to start trying to find the other ways and all that. Yes, exactly. Yes. Let's do that a quarter and a half earlier.
Well, I'm glad that you found you actually saw the purpose in me playing that clip. It was to prove that I was right about my commentary after the game, and you picked up on it. So well done.
What you were right in what?
To blame Pete.
Oh, fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Look, when I get to produce the show, I get to pick the clips that show how right I was about certain things. And this is one of them.
Fabulous. Okay. Congratulations.
Okay. So it wasn't the 14-10 moment for you, but even if we look coming out of the third quarter, you can point to the fact that they started off run, pass, punt with their very first drive and say, yes, they shouldn't have done that. But I can also see how coming out of halftime, they might want to see, well, is Dallas did they make an adjustment at halftime? And you're testing that out?
I knew you were going to say this. I actually thought about this like 2 days ago. Okay. I was like, I know Brandon is going to say this. Well, at halftime, if you decide that, well, they're obviously stopping the run, that means we're going to obviously start to throw the ball more, which means they're obviously going to make an adjustment back in the locker room to now obviously stop the pass. When now obviously the run should work again. We're not playing 3-dimensional chess here. Okay.
Maybe they are. Maybe that's the way Coach Carroll's thinking.
Oh my God. Then they need to stop. Like, come out and be like, okay, this is what they're doing. We're going to make this adjustment. Let's see what their reaction is. Uh-huh. And if they haven't indeed stopped selling out to stop the run, then we'll chew them up. And if they have made an adjustment, then we'll start handing the ball off again.
That was the first drive. But now the next drive, they come out and they do throw on first down. It's a 9-yard reception by Ed Dixon. And then Rashad Penny comes in and he gets the first down. And then they run it again with Rashad Penny and he breaks off a 28-yard run. And they get it on the Cowboys side of the field. Then they decide to run it to Penny again, and he gets stuffed in the backfield for a 7-yard loss. They do decide to throw on second down rather than do a complete give-up play. It's incomplete to Carson, and then they're at 3rd and 17, and we know how that works out. Short pass to Vanette, you got a punt. Then they're down on the 2-yard line, which actually that series kind of worked out because you completely flip field position, and then you do get the ball back, and then it's 14-10 after they score.
Yeah, sure, but you could have scored there too. Like, you know what I mean? The
only thing is once they did score, then the defense allowed Dak Prescott to drive down the field. It was a 5-minute drive in response to the Russell Wilson run and Mike Davis 2-point conversion. They march it down the field. The only real big play they have is that 34-yard pass over the middle to Cooper. And, he has the middle wide open to run after the catch too. So at that point, 17-14, yes, they still don't adjust. They decide to run it with Chris Carson again. They pass it to Baldwin, and then you have the one play that I look at and go, this could have changed the entire game, was on 3rd and 6. What's worked all year? Throwing deep to Tyler Lockett. It's either resulted in a big play or in a pass interference penalty. Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett has been this quarterback rating 158.3, perfect quarterback rating to Tyler Lockett. Goes downfield on 3rd and 6, and he's not able to get PI, and he's not able to make the catch. It's like one of the few times all season that's not worked.
Yeah, it feels like there were two moments like that in the game to me. One was that play right there, which has been basically automatic for the whole year, and Tyler Lockett has been a beast. And then B-Wags not making the tackle on 3rd and 14 on Dak Prescott.
Right.
Those two things that were like basically automatic locks all year long didn't go your way late in the game.
In the fourth quarter,
in a 24-22 game, like those are the plays, right? Because
up 17-14, even if you take away all those the Justin Britt holding penalty, the DJ Fluker roughness call, the 2 third down pass interference calls on the Seahawks defense, you take all those away, Bobby Wagner stops Dak Prescott on 3rd and 14 on a run up the middle. They kick a field goal, and it's 20-14, and the Seahawks are in position to get the ball back with 2 minutes left on the clock, no timeouts, to drive down the field, to attempt to score a touchdown, to tie it up, and then you're going for a 2-point conversion to take the lead.
Right.
And Pete said he was going for 2 in that situation, which I thought was interesting.
What did you think was interesting?
Someone asked him, if you hold Dallas to a field goal there, and it's 20-14,
right,
and you're able to drive for a touchdown to tie it up 20-20, are you going for 1 with Michael Dixon, or are you going for 2?
Yeah, you're going for 2.
And he said you're going for 2 to put it up 22-20.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Okay.
Like in every way, shape, or form, that's obvious. That's exactly what you do. You're on the road in a playoff game, and your kicker was shot by a sniper at the end of the second half, right in the hamstring.
End of the second quarter, yeah.
Yeah. Number one, you don't want to try to put it in Dixon's hands as far as trying to kick an extra point. We saw those practice kicks. Those were ugly. I'll never understand how a punter who kicks the ball professionally and has all those trick kicks and everything played Australian rules football where you have all sorts of funky kicks and all that stuff. And assuredly, Michael Dixon played a crap ton of soccer growing up because everybody who's not from America plays a crap ton of soccer growing up. He can't kick a field goal. He can't kick a field goal. Like that's a literal impossibility for him.
It seems weird that you can actually consider drop kicking a field goal, but kicking a normal field goal seems strange. Like and harder. How is that harder? The ball's moving.
Do you remember that commercial back in the day that featured Tiger Woods and he had out his pitching wedge or sand wedge or whatever?
Bouncing it around.
And he's bouncing it and he bounces it in front of him. He bounces between his legs. He bounces it behind his back on the face of the wedge, then pops it straight up into the air and pulls the club out. And before the ball hits the ground, whoop, rips it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. How is that, like, for Michael Dixon to, like, say the drop kick is easier than a regular field goal? It's like Tiger Woods trying to say it's easier for me to hit the ball falling out of the sky than it is to just set it on the ground and then hit it. Golfers hit it off the ground for a reason. It's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand. But yeah, so you go for 2 there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's the obvious play. Should we have some Seabass talk? Are we done with Seabass?
Are we done with Seabass? So we're getting into next year. We're making moves now.
I don't know. I don't know where this show is going today.
I'm over talking about this game. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Because I think I'm done with Seabass.
We've placed all the blame. Although, you know what? We missed some of the points of blame that Carroll mentioned.
We just didn't get going, and so it was frustrating. And not running the football like we'd like was part of it, but really the converting on third down, which I know it's an old subject for us, but that was an issue. And you just don't get the turns to get the rhythm that you need. And so it was very limited opportunities, it felt like, and limited opportunities for us on offense, limited opportunities for Russ to get going, and I feel it and felt it during the game. But it was okay as long as it was close. And I think that we expected a lot. And I think I made an expectation on Fluke coming back and Sweezy getting back out there without practice time. It's hard to expect those guys to play at top flight football. And the Dallas guys were coming off the rock, and they did a nice job. Excuse me, up front, and we weren't as sharp as we needed to be, and so that's really what it felt like watching the film and getting back through it and all that. So
I think we covered not being able to run the ball. Third downs, 2 of 13 on the day for Seattle. And then Sweezy and Fluker being injured, it was a factor. They clearly weren't as good as they had been earlier on in the season when we've seen them both healthy.
Sure, I don't know. Look, you run the ball twice and then throw it on 3rd and long every play, and then you wonder why your third down conversion rate isn't stellar.
Yeah,
come on, man.
And we could see that Dallas made it clear that they were going to blitz on 3rd and medium or 3rd and long. Maybe not on 3rd and long, but on 3rd and medium for sure. Every time.
Yeah. It's just an obvious pass situation now that it makes you one-dimensional, man, and it makes it easy to defend. Like, it's just how it is. Now, the other thing I want to talk about a little bit with some of these 3rd downs and 3rd and longs and that sort of thing, I want the Seahawks to go back this offseason and stop it with the give-up plays. I am so sick of give-up plays. And not only that, but like giving up on a drive on 2nd down.
2nd down's a little early. If you're 2nd and 20, you don't need to give up. You need to get halfway there. Like, you don't need to get all 20 on the 2nd down. Find a play that gets you about 10 yards, and it's not a draw play.
Yeah.
Running a draw on 2nd down, that needs to be taken out of the book.
Or just a little flare pass to the back, or, nothing. Things that are about as safe as it can get, is not aggressive in any way, which makes it clear that you're not actually going to make an attempt to get the 1st down. In today's day and age where you can't touch the freaking receivers, and you have Russell Wilson, who's an amazing deep ball thrower, or even, good at managing the football. He's not going to turn it over, trying to take some unnecessary risk. Go for it. Put some pressure on the defense. Make them play the play. You get a flag, maybe you get a reception that you weren't planning on, whatever it is, and you get that one extra possession to put you over the top. Pete talked earlier, you played the press sound there, where he's talking about being an aggressive football team all year. Well, cool, yeah, in a lot of ways, absolutely. But in this way, when you got behind the chains, like every single time, just give up. And I can't stand that.
And you didn't even mention the fact that we have an all-pro punter, Michael Dixon making the all-pro team, along with Bobby Wagner being 1st team All-Pro, Dwayne Brown 2nd team All-Pro at left tackle. But you have an All-Pro punter. So if you do send Russell Wilson back to pass on 2nd down, he gets sacked. Okay, well, what's the difference between 3rd and 20 and 3rd and 25? Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. Yeah. Interesting, Dwayne Brown, 2nd team All-Pro, but yet not even a Pro Bowl alternate.
I thought that was strange, too. Congrats to the All-Pros. Congrats to Michael Dixon, Bobby Wagner. You have a pretty good draft when you draft one All-Pro. I'm pretty happy about that.
But remember, drafting a punter in the 5th round is stupid, and the Seahawks were all a bunch of idiots. John Schneider had lost it.
Well, let's talk about other guys. You brought up Sebastian Janikowski earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Does he fit in your plans for 2019?
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Who are you going to get?
Draft a kid.
Glasses McKicker is not coming out of college.
But there's going to be somebody out there. There's always somebody. We're at that stage in my fat kicker's career that when you're just doing your job like normal and nothing happens and you just get hurt, like it's time. Like the body just says no.
Yeah.
Unless maybe he starts Pilates or something, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, you got a few guys out there on the unrestricted free agent list. You have Mike Nugent, who just played 3 games with Oakland this year, but he's
still in the league, huh?
He's still in the league at 37. There's another 37-year-old, Robbie Gould, for San Francisco, hit 97% of his field goals this year, 93% of his PATs.
Robbie Gould is, he's one of them that would pique my interest.
Okay, you got Jason Myers, who was on the team to start the season, went to the Jets, had a Pro Bowl season.
And he's a free agent. They only 1 yeared him?
Yeah, well, he was just 1 year when he got cut by the Seahawks, so I'm guessing the Jets just gave him the 1 year deal too. And he hit 91, almost 92% of his field goals, 91% of his PATs, played all 16 games. He's 28.
That would intrigue me, depending on the price.
And then you got Josh Lambo for Jacksonville, who hit about 91%, 95% of his PATs.
Yeah, I don't want the Jacksonville stink coming.
You don't want that?
Even though I guess Myers was originally a Jag.
46-year-old Adam Vinatieri on this list.
You know, I think I'm in. I don't
know, man.
Look, you're not going to kick anything over 45 yards, right?
Right.
But everything under that is going to be money every time. He's in the Morton Anderson stage of life.
Sure.
Or Gary Anderson. Pick your old Anderson kicker.
He's just at the 85% field goal percentage. And I feel like with Seabass being at 81.5%.
But he's available. You know what I mean? Like, he's not hurt.
I don't even think he's going to leave Indy.
Or he goes back to the Pats for like a year.
You got Gostkowski, too, at New England. He is a free agent.
I didn't say he'd start.
Start? What?
Yeah, he'd be like backup kicker. Yeah, for just like a farewell tour.
They need to expand the rosters so you can actually have a backup kicker.
Agreed. Or the stupid punters who have absolutely nothing to do at freaking practice could start kicking field goals.
Sure.
It blows my mind.
No, they need all that extra time to be even better at punting.
It's kind of like in the NBA, like, I don't know how much you follow the NBA, Brandon, but there's a point guard for the 76ers. His name's Ben Simmons. He's an absolutely amazing player. He's big, he's tall, he's fast. He's a hell of a passer, has a great feel for the game, like just a great leader. Like, he's awesome, right? But he can't shoot. Like, just take the offseason and learn how to shoot.
It seems like a critical skill in the game of basketball.
Right. I want Dixon to take this offseason and go learn how to kick a freaking field goal.
Yeah.
It should take him like a month.
A lot of the same motion is there.
Yes. You have the flexibility. You have the range of motion.
You have the athleticism that it should take to be good at it.
Yeah, the leg strength, everything. Like, I don't even need you to be able to boom 55-yarders with consistency. But, like, be able to kick up to a 40-yarder.
Or be able to kick the football off of a tee for a kickoff and have it not go out of bounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, what? How can he not do that?
Just good enough.
There's got to be somebody, please, get in Michael Dixon's ear.
You're an all-pro now. These are things that you need to work on.
I just want him to do all the kicking things.
Yeah.
Instead of so when somebody looks at you and be like, you have one job, he can look at him and be like, no, I've got like two and a half jobs.
But the other 1.5 jobs you can be just okay at.
Right.
Just know that there's some level of competency there. It should be above zero.
Either that or I guess expand the rosters, man. Like,
that'd be okay too. It's not my money.
These billionaires, I think, can afford to pay like some second tier kicker league minimum to sit on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow I think they could scrape together the change.
All right, well, we solved that. See, we're solving problems this offseason.
Yeah.
Michael Dixon, we got some notes for you. League, we have notes for you. Should we get into some free agency? Just briefly, because I know we're going to be able to talk a ton of free agency, but I feel like we should at least let folks know who's potentially going out the door for Seattle.
Cool. I hope you know, because I haven't even gotten there yet.
I do. It's, well, the top of the list in terms of money. We know this one, Earl Thomas.
And, you know, it's going to be sad to watch Earl go elsewhere.
I don't think it's a guarantee that he's going to go elsewhere, though.
No, it absolutely is.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think there's a 15% chance that he stays in Seattle.
That is 15% too high. Because you remember like him giving everybody the catfish bird.
Yeah.
When he rolled off the field. You think Earl Thomas is going to come back and play for Pete and John? You think that's happening? If
they pay him the most money.
There's no way.
If they pay him the most money, I think.
There's not enough money.
I don't think he's going to Dallas.
I don't know where he's going, but I can promise you it's not Seattle.
Okay.
Which sucks. But, you know,
I agree with you that it's very likely. I'm just saying that there's a chance.
No, there's not.
KJ Wright, $6.8 million this past year. He's on a free agent deal. This would be his third contract at 30 years. Both he and Earl, 30 years old.
With that number 30, let's keep that consistent and call it about a 30% chance KJ's back with the team.
Listening to Michael Sean Dugar, he made it sound like KJ's pretty amenable to taking less just to stay in Seattle.
It'd have to be a fair amount less. Like, look, if there's one thing Seattle has learned is you don't give aging defenders that third contract when you can start to see the signs of physical breakdown.
And we saw that with KJ. In fact, I do have a list that I'm going to get to next week as we recap a little bit of the season. I have a list for the guys who underperformed in terms of their contract numbers. Mm-hmm. And I have a list of the top 7 guys who outperformed their contracts. Okay. You can probably guess which one KJ Wright's on.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want it to happen. I'd love it if they did find a way to make a deal that makes sense to keep KJ in town. But, I mean, they have a decent backup plan in the sense that somebody's going to mail Michael Kendricks a file in a piece of, like, fruitcake in prison.
Break him out.
And he's going to break out and play weak side linebacker next year for the Seahawks.
He is also on this list, 28 years old and an unrestricted free agent.
Can he sign in prison? Or can you sign him to like a futures deal or something?
I don't know I think he's a little bit old enough for the futures deal, but I don't know why you can't sign him.
I don't know. Maybe a little. Yeah. Somehow he just needs to bust his ass out of there. He needs to start watching Prison Break.
Yeah. We're going to find out next month what his sentencing is. So
we'll see. We were on the record saying like, we hope it's not because I wanted to play for the Seahawks specifically, but like, just because, come on, man. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I don't need to see him go to prison for like 4 years, like 6 months, maybe.
Right. When you can see that a person is contrite and knows that they screwed up. It's like with your kids. Like, I'm not gonna ground you for 2 months.
And what did they screw up at?
Yeah.
That's not like he screwed up at murder. Oops. I'm murdering people.
Right. The level of offense is. You take that into consideration.
Yeah, like I got pulled over for a California stop in Phillipsburg, Montana.
What? They pull people over for that?
Yeah. I pulled up to. It was on New Year's Eve. I pull up to the stop sign. Basically, you come out of town. You come to a T. The main quote unquote highway like goes across there, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's nobody coming for miles. Like you can see, right? It's open. Mm-hmm. And I gave it the token, You
slowed down.
I well under 5 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't just blow through it, right? And I was only going 100 yards down the road to the, not even that, like 50 yards down the road to the gas station. So I do my thing. I even signaled, like, with nobody around. Like, went and pulled into the gas station, shut off the engine, threw the keys in the center console, picked up my phone and looked at it, and then I looked up in the mirror, and here comes the sheriff's car pulling in behind me, and flicks on the lights. Pulled me over while I was parked.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he comes out, and he's, I'm so-and-so from Granite County Sheriff's Department. You didn't come to a full and complete stop back there. And I look at him, I go, yeah. And we're parked like right in front of the highway. And I kind of motion to the left-hand side of the highway and like kind of look way down the road. Then I motion to the right-hand side of the highway, look
Still
way
no
out down
cars.
the road, and kind of look back at him with my hands in the air. And it was kind of like, yeah, I know. And he goes,
How about we sit
"Well,"
here for 5 minutes and see if a car still comes?
right. And then he goes, well, you know, it's a stop sign. And I go, yes, I'm aware. And I think we're both aware of the intent of the law, right? With the stop sign. Like if somebody else is coming, I need to stop so I don't crash into them, right? And I think I nailed that part. And so then he took all my stuff and he came back and he was a little pissy about it, but he did give me just a warning and then immediately pulled over somebody else, like the first car that came by in that 10-minute interaction. Maybe
They just put up a yield sign instead. How about do that?
Or just understand, like, right now, like, the fact that I didn't come to an absolute dead stop, like, doesn't matter.
I guarantee you we have some officers listening and have thoughts on this.
Good, because I hope they learned something today. Like,
I want to know.
The rules are there for a reason. Let's keep the reason in mind when you're enforcing the rules, please.
I think we should get back to this free agent list.
Well, I'm just saying, hopefully Michael Kendricks, they keep the reason in mind when they do the sentencing. And he gets more of a warning for not coming to a full and complete stop than, like, you know, time in the clink, the wrong clink.
Yeah.
Who else is on the list?
Justin Coleman, 26. $2.9 million this last year on a restricted free agent deal, but now he's going to be unrestricted.
He almost feels a little Paul Richardson-y to me. Like, one of those guys that, like, he can play, but somebody in the league is going to pay him a lot of money for, like, no reason.
Or has the league learned their lesson when poaching our corners?
No.
They traded a 7th-round pick to New England to get Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been really good at coaching up corners. Yeah. I feel like that would be, if you're going to spend more than $6 or $7 million, like, don't give him any more than Jeremy Lane money if he stays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to pay him a whole hell of a lot more than he made this year.
No, he's going to make more than that then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, somebody's going to pay him too much money.
Next guy on the list, Shamar Stephen. Feels like he can go.
Yeah, I would be more... I bet you he's more inclined to be in Seattle. Not him personally, but, like, my gut, it says that I think he'll be on the roster next year.
Yeah, he was on a 1-year, $2 million deal. Feels like that it wouldn't be more than that, certainly.
No, I don't see the market being crazy for him.
Deion Jordan, 29, played on a restricted free agent tender, $1.9 million this past season.
He'll be back on the cheap.
You kind of feel like he would be back on the cheap, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to offensive linemen, and we talked about injuries. We talked about being 30. That was on the defensive side, on the side of the football. J.R. Sweezy on the offensive line, $1.5 million this past season.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I've heard a little bit of is that the guard market could be strong this year.
As far as they're paying out a lot of money?
They may be paying out a lot of money for guards. And that's where my concern is with both J.R. Sweezy and DJ Fluker. Fluker, a couple years younger at 28, had the same salary, $1.5 million. There is the injury concern that other teams could shy away from, and maybe you would try and get deals done for both these guys before they hit free agency. But I think they're going to have an idea of what their market is too before going into the free agent market.
So I think out of all the free agents, these are the two guys that I find the most interesting, because I'm not sure they're going to know what their market value is before free agency. I mean, maybe they do, just because their agents are out there talking a little bit, but my guess is that Sweezy doesn't have much of a market. I mean, we've seen that he's played well in Seattle's system. He's gone somewhere else and played like crap, come back and then played pretty decent in Seattle's system. But history of back issues, history of injuries overall, not a guy that had a high pedigree coming out of the draft. I don't really see him having a lot of suitors. Mm-hmm. So if we want Sweezy, I think we'll keep Sweezy, and I think we should keep Sweezy. As far as Fluker goes, that's the bigger wild card. Being a former first-round draft pick, having moderate success in two other places, and then coming to Seattle, and then also kind of being credited by the coaching staff throughout the year of kind of bringing that group together to a degree with his personality and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way they value Fluker internally, they may overpay for Fluker a little bit, especially at his age.
I'm just really torn on how to handle this offensive line.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Why? It's the best one we've had in how long?
Yeah, it could be better, though.
Sure. Keep them together and have some continuity for a freaking change.
And I'm kind of concerned about their pass blocking ability.
I really love the fact that our quarterback's mobile and that the focus of our offense isn't passing. It's running the football.
Sure.
And that's what they do well. I would love nothing more than to see the same 5 group of guys actually stay together through a whole offseason, start a whole nother season together. Like, we didn't even start this season with these 5 guys as our starters. Like, we kind of stumbled into it.
Well, I'm sure we'll have more conversations on the offensive line. Running back Mike Davis, also on this list.
Okay.
Feels like where I'm at, too. Yeah, they could bring him back, or they could find other dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, you got J.D. McKissick. You got... you have your 2 guys with Rashad Penny and Chris Carson that you know are going to be around.
Right.
And CJ Procise is coming back too, which...
I don't know if he doesn't want much money.
Mike Davis?
Yeah.
I feel like he could get a little bit more going somewhere.
Did you just say CJ Procise is coming back?
He's technically on the last year of his rookie contract.
Yeah, he's getting cut.
Well, he'll be back for offseason, though.
Sure, but he's getting cut.
He doesn't... If Mike Davis isn't back to compete with, he could make...
He's getting cut.
Okay.
Just literally find anybody who can continue to stay on his feet for longer than 2 weeks at a time.
That's frustrating. The big name on this list, it's taken a while to get to him because he's been making less than $1 million, including this season. But now it's time for Frank Clark to get paid. And I think he will.
He will get paid. Because, again, it's not his 3rd contract. This is his 2nd contract. In his prime, while it's still young and healthy, he's proven it on the field. He's become a leader in the locker room. Pass rush was something we were worried about coming into the season. Collectively, they did a good job of getting that done for the most part, and Frank Clark is the number one reason for it. Unless you're John Gruden, you don't let a premier pass rusher go at the beginning of their prime.
No. So the question with Frank Clark is going to be, will he get a contract done before they have to franchise tag him? So we'll know that in the next 2 months.
Yeah, I would guess they end up having to tag him because I don't know when the other premier pass rushers are going to sign. I don't know who all is out there as far as free agents is in the pass rushing department, because at some point, like, you got to kind of figure out that pecking order, and then guys will wait to see what the top guy signs for first before they're going to finish up their deal.
Yeah, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Ziggy Ansah. Lawrence feels like the main guy there. 11 sacks on the season.
Bigger name, bigger market.
And about the same age. The only other guy I see on this list would be Dante Fowler.
Yeah, who's been mediocre at best.
Frank's definitely ahead of him.
So yeah, I think if you're Frank Clark, you're waiting to see what DeMarcus Lawrence gets.
Clark did have 14 sacks. Lawrence had 11. I mean, they're comparable in terms of their statistics.
Or are you looking at what Khalil Mack got and going, that's...
I think they could get him in under what Khalil Mack got.
Well, if it truly is a meritocracy, you would think so. Not that Frank Clark isn't a tremendous player, but he's not Khalil Mack good.
Well, I hope they can get a deal done ahead of free agency, because they have been reluctant to put the franchise tag on players. And I like the idea that they could continue that strategy.
Sure, that would be better for everybody. We'll see how it goes. The one contract that I think, and obviously it's already come up and we've got a whole offseason to talk about it, but I figured it's good to put out maybe our initial thoughts on it early on, just as kind of predictions and thoughts on the Russell Wilson deal. Like going into his last year, right?
I actually have the list of everybody going into their last year too.
Okay. Well, this is let's talk about Russ for just a half a second.
Sure.
This is fascinating to me because he is the type of talent that deserves the biggest contract, right? Like the way it always works out for quarterbacks. But he's also one of the smartest guys that plays the position and humble guys who plays the position. And when you look around the league and you watch the struggles that all the QBs that took the biggest amount of money continually have because of the fact that contract hamstrings the whole rest of your roster. Like, does Russell Wilson look at Tom Brady and structure his deals a little more team friendly like that, where you're still getting paid, but maybe not stratosphere, so that you can win? Because if you're winning, like, you more than make up the money that you're not getting in your contract in endorsements and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or is it important to Russell Wilson to get the big check?
We don't know that answer.
What does your gut say?
I don't think he has to be the top guy.
I think he's going to take lesser money with maybe all of it guaranteed, like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I think that's how you do it.
That would be ridiculous to think that he wouldn't get as much as Cousins.
Right. So more than $84 million.
$84 million over 3 years, right?
Right. But you don't want to be in that 100 where are quarterbacks these days? Are we talking 120 million, 130 million? Is that where a lot of these deals have been?
Just as a benchmark to look at Garoppolo, I don't even know if that's a good benchmark deal because they have an out after 2 years.
Right, but what's just the dollar amount on it, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it was 136 million over 5 years.
Okay, there you go.
So, which is an average of 27.5.
So maybe Russ gets $100 all straight up guaranteed for 3 years?
His last contract was 4 years, 88. So if he went 3 years guaranteed at 88, that'd be a nice little bump.
And you have a earlier chance to take a bite at the pie again. When he would be, 34 at that point?
Yeah, because Cousins, he was 30 this year. So Russell's at the same draft class. So
yeah, I think he's 30 this year, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be 30 for the 2019 season.
Turn 33, 34 at the end of that contract. Have another chance at getting another big deal so he can be one of the first billion-dollar players, a guy who has his sights set on ownership when he's done playing. I could see that. Plus, it keeps him in a winning position in a team that believes in him. It's funny, you see some of these headlines about how, like, because they didn't have him throw much, that Russ might be unhappy and wants out of Seattle. Okay, then.
Aaron Rodgers, his average is 33.5 million. You got Matt Ryan at 30 million, Cousins at 28, Garoppolo at 27.5. If you put him at 29 million guaranteed over 3 years, you're to free agency a lot sooner. Matt Ryan's deal, holy smokes, it was 5 years, 150 million. It seems to make more sense to me to take a shorter deal, and because any of these quarterbacks, when they're getting to their fourth and fifth years, although Matt Ryan's going to be 37, 38 toward the end of his 5-year deal. And
you're out of the guaranteed money towards the end of that deal too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in the United States, Darrelle Revis is sitting on a gigantic pile of cash, nodding and smiling to everything that you have to say about that.
I think quarterbacks are just going to have to get paid guaranteed money now too. I think now that Kirk Cousins has his deal, that's the way it's going to be.
I mean, that's going to be one of the ways you can do it. I mean, and they had talked about that last time Russ's contract came up.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. I mean,
he's still going to be one of the top guys. It's just a question. You don't think that he's going to say, pay me more than Aaron Rodgers money,
or pay me a lot more than Aaron Rodgers money. I don't think he's going to say that, because that's what all these stupid quarterbacks do, like Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let me ruin the second half of my career. I want all the money.
Well, as long as trading isn't in the discussion, like, we can avoid that this offseason, right?
What, trading what?
Russell Wilson.
I didn't even, wow. Like, I couldn't even, I had no idea that's what you were referencing when you said that. Like, that's how unbelievably stupid and ridiculous the thought even is. Like, it's just not even, shouldn't even be entertained in this reality.
Well, I don't know. I read the article on field goals that had the tweet from Robert Mays saying, if the Seahawks truly do want to play like they did last night, they should get it over with and trade Russell Wilson to the Giants for 3 first-round picks, because no quarterback is worth $30 million in that offense.
Did it happen on Twitter?
It did with Robert Mays.
Okay.
Of The Ringer.
And there you go.
Well, he has a podcast, too. He could have mentioned that on his podcast.
Does he also have like regular checkups at a hospital to check on his traumatic head injury? Because he must have suffered one to put something like that out there.
Maybe he's just frustrated after watching that performance.
Sure. Okay. I was frustrated, but I'm not ready to get rid of Russell Wilson for like no reason.
3 first-round picks seems like not enough.
No. Absolutely not.
Maybe he's a Giants fan and he's lobbying for the Giants to get Russell Wilson.
I get that. You pair him up with Saquon and you got Odell out there too. Like that could be fun.
That'd be a good team.
Yeah.
And no offensive line, which he's used to.
Right.
Well, another guy in the similar position as Russell Wilson, and this has come up before with Bobby Wagner, 3rd contract coming up after this year. He's going into the final year of his deal. Is he in that boat where you potentially consider a trade because you don't sound too up on this whole idea of giving guys a 3rd contract going into their 30s?
There's an exception to every rule, and Bobby Wagner is that exception.
Okay.
Like this is a guy who still is playing absolutely at the peak of his game, if not still on the ascension. I don't know that we've even seen peak Bobby Wagner yet. Maybe this year was it. I don't know. But you get the sense that he is nowhere near the threshold of physical decline. I mean, he's just one of those guys who's gifted that way.
We've seen linebackers play into their mid-30s.
Yeah, linebackers do play in their mid-30s. I mean, Ray Lewis played forever.
And Bobby Wagner, potentially Hall of Famer. So do you look at B-Wags?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to re-sign him this offseason?
Yes.
Don't let him get to free agency? Go ahead and do it now.
Yeah, if he's willing to. He gets Earl's money.
I'm feeling like I would do it this offseason because I read the article by Greg Bell saying that Bobby Wagner is now his own agent. And I don't like what's happened with the last guys who are their own agent and went to free agency.
Yeah.
Russell Okung and Richard Sherman, both now not with the team.
They both found more money for themselves.
It took a little while, although Richard Sherman could have maybe not put the Pro Bowl thing into his contract. That's going to hurt him.
He still got paid pretty dang well this year.
Yeah.
For coming off double Achilles surgery.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah. And Okung got paid by the Broncos for 1 year, even though everybody said that was a terrible deal. And then he got paid again with the Chargers.
Yeah.
That worked out nicely for him. And he didn't have to pay a stupid agent in the middle of that.
So I'm thinking lock up Bobby Wagner this offseason too.
If he's willing to negotiate this offseason, then sure.
Everybody's willing to negotiate if you pay him the right amount of money.
Sometimes, I don't know. Basically, the sense I got was Frank had no intentions of negotiating this year. He's playing it out no matter what.
The other guys on this list going into the final year of their deal, and these guys, they're almost at the level to where, well, the other guy that fits into the similar conversation is Bobby Wagner, Russell Wilson, going into the final year, able to negotiate, Jaron Reed.
Ooh, dang.
He'll make $1.1 million next year.
Okay, well, being he's still under, I think you make him play that out. Because, yes, the production increased this year a lot, and it was impressive. I guess you'd have to be in that locker room and internally, like, be the coaches that see him day in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like what he produced this year is somewhat sustainable, I mean, I'm not saying he has to be double-digit sacks every year, but, like, just be a force on the interior as a pass rusher like he developed into this year. If you think he can be that on the regular, then you try to sign him this year because you'll probably get him for a hair cheaper than if he doubles down next year and plays well. But if you're on the fence, it kind of like the Redskins were with Cousins, and they're like, I don't know if I should really pay you or not. You make him play out the next year and see if he can produce again.
Yeah, it's hard not to try and go ahead and lock up a guy who did bring you 10 sacks on the interior of the defensive line.
It just depends on what his market is, I guess.
Depends on his market, yeah, and what he's willing to take in the offseason. But that's another guy on my radar that I could, if it came out this offseason that Jaron Reed got signed a deal, wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. No.
And then you have CJ Prosise, who you already cut.
Yeah, bye-bye.
You have Jerron Brown, who signed a 2-year deal, but he's looking to get paid $3.7 million next year.
Nope.
It seems a little steep for number 4 receiver.
They're going to find a young guy.
Yeah.
They'll find a young guy.
Barkevius Mingo, $3.3 million. He could save against the cap.
Oh, they'll keep him next year.
They'll keep him for 3.3.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And Nick Vannett, who it makes sense that you would keep him at $750.
Does it? Oh, at $750,000?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, for that mounting. Yeah.
Well, there's my list.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope John Schneider was listening. We just kind of did his job for him. So just do those things.
Yeah, we did leave it up to him on Jaron Reed, though, a little bit.
Yeah.
We did punt to him on that one.
I mean, he is getting paid for it, like, you know.
All right, Adam, what do you say we welcome some new members of the flock? Or one new member and one who gave us a raise.
Fantastic. I mean, even after a loss. More little flockers. Look at you guys, man.
Heath Mauger's in for $1. Welcome to the flock, Heath.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, dude. Like that's a little win in our sales after what happened on Saturday. That's nice.
Bryson McCartney gave us a raise up to $12.12.
Ooh, well, welcome to the Ring of Honor.
I know. I sent him an invite. I haven't seen him show up yet, though.
Well, I mean, you want to be a little fashionably late. I get it.
Is that how it works?
I feel what Bryce is up to.
And we got a review this past week, all the way from Australia.
Oh, nice.
From Can't You Just Use My Name? Shane.
Oh, okay, Shane.
That's his username.
Well, we'll just go with Shane. It's a fair request with his username.
It's true. Great show. Okay, so Adam is probably going to rant about this. I'm a Panthers fan since '95. Okay. But after visiting the Pacific Northwest from Australia multiple times for holidays, I've become really attached to the Seahawks and love the team. Just about as much. Perhaps even more than my own. This show is great. Adam and Brandon, sorry, man, I know you spell it weird. Yeah, you spelled it wrong. Really know their stuff when it comes to football. More importantly, they know their team. Really enjoyed listening to the show this year, especially the fact that despite it being a, quote, rebuilding year for the Hawks, they never lost faith. They knew the strengths and weaknesses of the team, and when every other idiot in the football world had written the Seahawks off, they picked them to go 10-6. Sure, it seemed like a big call at the time, but then it actually happened, 10-6. That's all you need to know about their team and knowledge of football. Brandon sounds to me a little bit like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead, but I love that. In fact, that's what pricked up my ears. Adam's rants are the best. My fave thus far was the one about Apple and the earphones charging point. Anyway, do yourself a favor and listen to this podcast. Brilliant!
That was a brilliant review, Shane. And no, I'm not gonna rant about your former Panthers fandom. And that's right, I call it former.
Yeah, he's not
because I think it's time.
It's time.
It's time. I think you need to be a 12. I think it would be good for your deal if you moved on from the crybaby ass Cam Newton and came and had a quarterback of integrity and positivity to be able to root for, and somebody who's actually good. I think that would help your deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I just want welcome, Shane. Come on, come be a 12. You know you want to.
And the only thing I have to say to Shane is, the Seahawks are cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Appreciate the review, though.
You laughed on that. You laughed at that. At me sounding like Butthead as if you agreed with him.
Yeah.
It takes you back to the high school days, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Jeff in Bellingham sends an email. Says, hi, Adam and Brandon. I'll begin with a quote from Mr. Baldwin. We have 4 games left to play. This came in before the game. I'm with him, and you guys need to do better for talking about a Bears showing at the Super Bowl. Yeah, apparently I was wrong about that one. Adam, I have a suggestion for how to deal with the shame of your early Schottenheimer doubts. Since you're in the process of choking on Crow, Brandon needs to perform the Schottenheimlich maneuver to clear your passageway. If done properly, the Crow feet will be ejected like Chris Carson bursting through tackles, the beak like a nifty screen pass to Dixon, and the feathers will float back to earth like a rainbow pass to Lockett 50 yards deep. Breathe the free air, my friend, and enjoy the Cowboy beatdown tomorrow. Respectfully submitted from Jeff. He said, during a sleepless night, I came up with the Schottenheimlich maneuver and claim it for my pick'em team name next year.
Oh, solid. I give him mad props for that. Unfortunately, that email, I wish we had read it before the game because it probably didn't age real great.
It didn't age well, Jeff.
No, and that's not his fault. Like, I mean, there's nothing he could do about that. But, yeah, the Schottenheimlich maneuver was performed on me by the game plan in the second half. Like, that was such a gut punch that all that crow came flying right back out of my mouth.
Well, I needed to read the email just for the brilliance of the Schottenheimlich maneuver team name and to make sure that everybody listening knows that it's already claimed for Jeff's Pick'em League name next year.
Yeah. And mad props to Jeff. I saw you mailed out lots of prizes during this furlough.
I know. I've been getting stuff done. I got prizes out. I got stickers and patches out. This has been good for the flock for me to catch up on work that I've been putting off for the podcast.
Right. Yeah. So thanks to our politicians' inability to have a conversation like adults, you guys get your stuff. Thanks, federal government.
See, everybody can be a little bit thankful now.
I'm good doing the reverse of what I was doing earlier in the podcast. So every time Brandon was trying to be positive about something even though he shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with the shutdown right now. I'm trying to give you a positive out of it.
I will attempt to pay bills with your positivity. We'll see if it works.
Well, if it doesn't, I've been eyeing this one armored truck for a while. Its route is totally underprotected.
Totally doable. Okay.
Yeah. Just I'm going to send you a link to this movie. It's an older one. It was called Heat.
Oh, I love
check
Heat.
It out. Tell me what you think.
Are we going to get into a machine gun gunfight in downtown Missoula?
Yes. What could go wrong?
If we had Robert De Niro, if you can get him on board, I'll be on board.
I think there's a solid chance Robert's in.
Okay.
Yeah. Although, could we just role play? Are you going to be Robert De Niro and I'm going to be Val Kilmer? Is that how that works?
Are you going to be young Val Kilmer or current Val Kilmer?
Oh, it's got to be young, right? I need to be able to move.
I think didn't he have to trim down a little bit for the new Top Gun movie?
I thought he was in health crisis.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't paid that close of attention.
Well, no, this was a couple years ago. I have no idea. There's a new Top Gun movie coming out?
Isn't there?
I don't know. You just told me. You're the movie guy.
I heard that it was coming out. Oh, it's pegged for 2020.
That's a bad idea. They shouldn't do that.
June of 2020. Maverick's coming back. Iceman's coming back.
Are they going to resurrect Goose?
Here's the tagline for it. The one-sentence plot. Maverick mentors a new generation of U.S. Navy fighter pilots.
Oh, man. This is going to be terrible.
Just think of all those witty moments now, the new witty moments between Maverick and Iceman. Are they going to get back out on the volleyball court?
Negative. I can't even believe I threw out a Top Gun reference earlier in the pod, but I'll bring it back again right here. Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. No. That's not happening. I want to know how many Goose montages do you think are made? There's got to be one Goose montage, right?
You have to reference Goose in some way.
See, I'd be more interested in a Days of Thunder reboot.
Ooh.
Than Top Gun.
Can't we just keep doing Mission Impossible movies? That's what Tom Cruise is really good at.
I mean, sure. I mean, we've all seen that movie enough times, right?
No, I don't think we have.
Really?
All right, if I were going to reboot another Tom Cruise movie, I mean, don't you go Cocktail? Don't you go all the way back? I mean, I guess no. I mean all the way back would be Risky Business, but
so you'd have to be in the 80s, early up to 95 Tom Cruise movie.
If you're going to reboot it,
right? If we're going to say old ones, right?
Okay, 95 seems like an okay cutoff because that's pre-Mission Impossible.
All right, so I'm going back.
Oh, Legend. That's the movie to redo.
Legend?
Yeah. With Tim Curry as the devil.
I have not watched this movie.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Tim Curry is the Lord of Darkness.
Okay.
You haven't seen Legend.
The Firm, dude.
That's a book. There's no The Firm 2.
Yeah, you can redo The Firm. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no need to redo The Firm.
Look, if Wilford Brimley didn't haunt your dreams after watching The Firm a little bit, I don't know what to tell you.
Just go read the book again.
Well, it's either that or A Few Good Men.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah. See that, but I feel like for rebooting a movie, you need to pick one that wasn't done well and really do it well.
That's not how it works. They do sequels of ones that did really well the first time.
Okay, so we're talking sequel or reboot?
Oh, I see.
Sounds like you're talking sequel. See, Days of Thunder 2, that could work as a sequel.
Yes. And I think you could get Nicole Kidman back for that one too.
That still works.
Yeah.
I've seen her and stuff.
Yeah, she can still do the acting thing.
Yeah. They made the second one of the wrong one.
That's what I'm thinking.
Days of Thunder 2 would have been strong.
Yeah.
And remake Legend.
Right. And I think you could probably still get Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
Give me Robert Duvall any day. Like I'm in.
Outsiders is probably due for a remake.
I don't know that movie either.
The Greasers?
I was 4 years old when that movie came out.
Yeah, but that's one that I feel like we all had to watch.
What about Rain Man? After
again, see, that's in the same category of A Few Good Men. Like, why would you remake a perfect movie?
Right. No, I'm talking. We went back to sequels
or ruin it with a sequel.
Right. So like it's a story of those two later on, right? Like as they aged as brothers together, like and how their life continued.
How about Cocktail 2? You need to see what Brian is like as an older bartender.
No, I know what that looks like. Like it's a little depressing and hitting on girls like 25 years his junior.
Yeah, but he's still good looking.
But in a creepy way.
This is probably the wrong time to remake that movie or to have a sequel to that movie. Yeah,
like some guy trying to like pick out the girls that have daddy issues. Gross. And who the McCaughlin or whatever the old wise bartender that taught him the ropes, right? Mm-hmm. Like the weird Aussie. He had kind of a rapey feel to him. Like I'm glad that like he would have to be gone.
That's a good point. I'm glad we explored this idea.
Okay, cool.
On to do better and better at life.
Right. All right, Brandon. My do better this week is NBA inspired because every so often I just see these like unwritten rules in sports that are enforced among the players. And oftentimes they like make sense. But then there's times like this one where I'm just like, I don't get it. So the headline reads, Draymond and CP3, so Draymond Green and Chris Paul, won't let teammates wear rival shoes.
Oh,
you guys are such hard asses. Oh my gosh. How dare you wear some Kyrie Irvings if you play on the Lakers? How dare you wear some LeBron James shoes if you play on the Rockets? Oh my gosh, that just tears the team fabric apart. This is important stuff. Be sure not to wear anybody's shoe that's from a rival team. Important things. Like, I'm really glad that they spent an ounce of their life focusing on this and like wagging their fingers at the younger players like over this. Like, how many people wore Jordans back in the day?
I'm sure all of them.
It didn't tear the fabric of the league apart. Didn't tear your team apart. This is stupid, and I just think it's petty. So, Draymond and CP3, do better.
Although people are into their shoes, man.
Yeah. What if one of the...
Isn't it disrespectful, though, not to wear... If a teammate of yours has a shoe line, and you're wearing an opposing team's shoe line?
I think you should wear the shoe that fits your foot and your needs for support the best.
Yeah.
So you don't get hurt, whatever that may be. Whether that's high tops or low tops or high arch, low arch, skinny, narrow, wide, whatever it is, man.
Don't try and micromanage a dude's feet. That seems like the bigger rule.
Yeah.
Another dude making a big deal about what another guy puts on his feet.
Stay off my feet, bro.
Stay off my feet. Stay out my pocketbook.
Yeah, man.
Might do better this week is for the Arizona Cardinals PR staff. I don't know if you saw the announcement promoting Cliff Kingsbury's hiring.
This is going to parlay perfectly into my better at life.
Oh, good. Because in their press release, the initial one, and part of it's even worse that they changed this, but in the initial press release that the Cardinals put out, Kingsbury is friends with Rams coach Sean McVay, the 32-year-old offensive genius who has become the blueprint of many of the new coaching hires around the NFL. They took so much catfish for mentioning the fact that Kingsbury is friends, and rightly so, because how do you start off a sentence in your press release about the hiring of your coach and almost make it like a qualification. Kingsbury's friends with Rams coach Sean McVay. That belongs in the release. And I don't even know if the fact that referencing an opposing coach within the division, like if you're going to just take out that whole paragraph, because instead they change it to just read Rams coach Sean McVay, the 32-year-old offensive genius who has become the blueprint of many new coaching hires around the NFL. And McVay reached out to Kingsbury after Texas Tech let him go to see if Kingsbury wanted to join the Rams staff for a stretch run in postseason as an offensive consultant. Kingsbury considered it, but ultimately joined USC. They left all of that in.
They left all of that in?
They left all of that in about him wanting to joining the Rams staff and him reaching out to Kingsbury. That seems really weird for a guy that you're hiring a coach to be a rival of McVay. So for Arizona and your ridiculous PR announcements, do better.
Holy cow. That is pathetic.
That's how they're justifying the hire, is that he's friends with Sean McVay. Sean McVay really likes him. Sean McVay wanted him to coach the Rams. There's even a quote in here from McVay saying, I think he's been a very good head coach. Says very good, doesn't say great. I think he's demonstrated the ability to do a lot of different things at a high level, and he's got a great offensive mind. So they're going to their division rival coach to pull quotes about their coaching hire.
It's kind of like they're pining after the girl they can't have, and so they're kind of just taking the best knockoff that they can. You know, like they are in love with Sean McVay.
Yeah. And
good Lord.
And Kingsbury's not even as good looking.
All right. So here's my better at life than Skip Bayless this week then. It's for the Arizona Cardinals. Because when I saw this hire of Cliff Kingsbury, you know what my first reaction was?
What's that?
All right.
You were happy about this as a Seahawks fan.
I was super happy about this as a Seahawks fan.
Because now we know who's going to occupy fourth position in the division for the next few years.
Oh my gosh. What a terrible hire. So Kingsbury is in Texas Tech, has a couple high-quality quarterbacks, including the Mahomes at one point, and finishes with a losing record, which, okay, fine. Like, I understand they're not an elite school and all that, but, I mean, Mike Leach had a winning record there for a lot of years. Like, if you really love the offensive air raid numbers, like, don't you go and get the guy who invented it in Mike Leach sitting up in Pullman?
Right.
Like, no. You go and you get Cliff Kingsbury because he's young like Sean McVay. He's hip like Sean McVay. He's handsome like Sean McVay. This is a guy who didn't even coach it down for USC and then goes and gets a NFL head coaching job. Like, that is pathetic. This is a great hire for the Seattle Seahawks. I am thrilled with the Arizona Cardinals, like, chasing trends here and clearly making a poor choice. Arizona Cardinals, you are better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yes. Thank you, Arizona.
Now you're already seeing the Rosen or Kyler Murray stuff, like, start to bubble up. Like, trade Rosen, get Kyle Murray in the draft. Like, you're already done with him.
I would be so happy if they take Murray.
Have watched precisely one half of Kyler Murray football.
Okay.
And it was against Bama, right? Which apparently is not
that wasn't not a good one to watch.
Right. But
it's also one that you should watch if you want to get an idea of how he might look against an NFL defense.
And in a big moment, right?
In a big moment, yeah.
Just look at it. I mean, I need to go back and do a lot more when I actually do my quarterback evaluations and all that. But just on first blush, like, he does not look like an NFL quarterback to me.
Yeah, he'll be able to play in the NFL, but he's not a guy who you would say...
He's Seneca Wallace.
Right. Yeah, he'd be a good backup who can start in a pinch.
And he's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's Seneca Wallace.
Yeah, he's not Baker Mayfield.
No.
So...
And I'm not even sure that's a high bar.
It's who you'd want to be to come out. And it sounds like he's coming out.
Well, why not? What do you have to lose?
Well,
you can always go back to baseball.
That's a good point.
What's the problem?
If you decide that, a couple of years down the road, it looks like I'm going to be a backup.
Yeah, get drafted, get that first paycheck from the NFL, and then go back and double dip and get your money from MLB.
There you go.
Keep getting them checks. No, I love it.
Get all the checks, Kyler.
Yeah. No, this Kingsbury thing's going to be a disaster. I'm stoked.
They're really considering whether or not they keep Rosen?
I don't know. That's just what some of the stupid rumors that have already popped up. There, have you not seen the video of Kingsbury taken in October this year talking about Kyler?
No.
He's a freak. I've seen him since high school. He's a total freak. Like, he can do things on the football field nobody's ever done. I've never seen him had a bad showing. If I could take him number one, I'd do it for sure.
Oh, he said that?
In that video in October. Now, whether you're just talking somebody up, but those words came out of the King's mouth.
That would be the worst thing ever, because then the 49ers get Bosa, who they wanted anyway.
Oh, okay.
The 49ers, they want a pass rusher.
I haven't even looked at the draft order.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have the first pick?
Yeah, and the 49ers have the second. Seahawks have the 21st.
Well, for now.
Until they trade down. Have they traded down yet?
Right? No, that's funny.
Well, my better at life this week, you know, Adam, we could argue all day about who's the biggest Seahawks fan. But there's no argument as to who the coolest Seahawks fan is, and that's the Fonz. And he has some advice after this latest loss by the Seahawks from
all right,
from the red carpet of the Golden Globes.
We lost yesterday.
We did.
Yes.
I tweeted about it.
I know. So do you want to say anything to Coach Pete and the Hawks since you're a fan?
Okay. Coach Pete, I am so sorry that the season is over, but the career is long. You are great. Your players are great. Your fans are great. I'll see you next year. And Max sends his best.
I just love that Henry Winkler, the Fonz from Happy Days, just knowing that he's a Seahawks fan, he's watching and tweeting about it, has a message for Coach Carroll. He's a positive, upbeat guy. It's clearly somebody that I identify with. So, Henry Winkler, better at life than Skip Bayless.
I mean, they must have gone to like grade school or something together, right? Like, because when they were in grade school, there was only like 500 people in the whole country, right? It was that long ago.
Winkler spent some time in Southern California, coached, SC coach.
There you go.
But there is no cooler guy than Henry Winkler.
How old are you?
Old enough to have watched Happy Days.
I mean, wouldn't you say in the hierarchy of TV cool guys? Like, I mean, I think you got to put Uncle Jesse above him, right? Like, Uncle Jesse was cooler.
That's where but that's like it. That's where that character comes from.
Right. But he's cooler. You said there's no more cool guy.
You're saying that he did it better than the Fonz.
I would think so. I mean, who else?
Gosh.
Wherever Charlie Sheen's character was in that, like, 2 1/fraction of People show. Yeah,
was he a cool guy, though?
I don't know.
Because what's the criteria? Are you just looking for the best character, someone that you want to hang out with, or the coolest guy in the room, or because like Sam from Cheers,
or Magnum PI probably get in there, right? Like original Magnum PI.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking badass. We're just talking cool guy.
You know, there's just not a lot of cool characters on TV now. It seems like.
No, yeah, because the new TV sitcom formula is the misproportionately paired couple, right? Like the woman is far better looking than the dude should ever be, with, right?
Sure.
And she's smart and basically untouchable, and he's just the bumbling dumb guy that like walks around and is all shucks.
That's kind of how I feel like we get with a lot of our male TV characters nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, even look to Friends from our era. You had Joey, who was the good-looking dummy. You had Chandler, who was the jokester.
Right.
And then you had Ross, who was the dork that always got on your nerves.
Right. Chandler was the nerd and Ross was the dork.
Right.
And then
and Joey was the dummy, the good-looking dummy.
And all three leads were, even Phoebe, who was quirky, was still cool, like that bohemian kind of cool, right?
Right.
And all a tier above the three dudes in the looks department. Even Joey.
I'd agree.
Is that where it started?
That's probably where it shifted from having cool dudes.
Or is it Seinfeld that you have to blame for that? Because whether it's Kramer, Jerry, or Costanza, like none of them are going to be on People's Best Looking People of the Year magazine, right?
Man, where have all the cool, good looking dudes gone? on TV.
I think they may have died. I think it may have died with Sam in Cheers.
I'm going to have to do some more research on this. We'll come back next week.
Uncle Jesse was after that. Uncle Jesse might be the last of the
breed.
You
know what? He might be the last one.
Man.
It's sad.
It is sad. Welcome to the offseason, everybody.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Well, one dude we can now trash on the way out the door is head strength and conditioning coach, who was fired from the Seahawks.
Oh.
I don't know why we would do that, but I just thought it was notable that there was a coaching change.
Right. I don't have a lot of commentary on that, I guess.
No.
I don't want somebody to lose their job. Maybe we can get stronger and have more endurance. I don't know.
Have you seen the assistant strength and conditioning coach? He's that dude with like the stare that would burn a hole in your eyebrows if you allowed him to look too long.
No, I have not seen scary assistant
strength and conditioning coach. Yeah. Don't look.
Don't look?
You may turn to stone.
Is it like a Clint Eastwood kind of stare?
I don't even know how to describe it.
Terminator kind of stare?
Yeah. Yeah, more of a Terminator kind of stare.
Making sure we got our stares down here. Yeah, this is a good show already. We've talked about some important stuff.
This is how the offseason starts.
Yeah,
people don't realize if they just came into the show thinking, oh yeah, all we do is talk about the games, review the next upcoming game. Hey people,
just wait till the off season.
It's almost off season time. And we're going to do this show. We'll do a season in review next week. And then we're fully going to be into the off season. So we're just getting warmed up in terms of our off season banter.
Very excited.
People get upset that we're too dad jokey. Just wait.
Do they?
I don't know.
We're middle-aged white dudes. What do you expect?